The stars above Earth were calm that night. Everything looked peaceful. But in the command room of United Earth Space Center, alarms began to blink red. Something was wrong. A small peace mission ship, Hope Seeker, had gone silent. It was supposed to land on the alien planet Drivax, home to the proud and powerful Drivaxian Empire. On board were 5 delegates from Earth, including a young girl named Mira Dawson. Mira was just 17 years old, but her talent was rare. She spoke over 12 alien languages. Her memory was sharp. Her smile was kind. Many called her the voice of peace. She had trained for years to become a cultural bridge between humans and aliens. This mission was meant to build friendship between Earth and Drivax. No weapons, just gifts, goodwill, and dialogue. But 2 hours after entering Drivax space, the ship vanished from all radar. Earth tried everything. Emergency signals, scanning ships, even calls through other galactic allies, but there was no reply. The Drivax Empire sent a message. "We are sorry. Your ship never reached us. We mourn with you for the lives lost." A memorial was held on Earth. People cried. News channels played Mira's videos. Her parents stood on stage with broken hearts. Her empty chair stayed on Earth forever. They believed she died, alone, scared, somewhere in the cold dark of space. But the truth was very different. Far below the glowing cities of Drivax, deep under steel floors and thick stone, there was a secret. In a hidden underground lab, guarded by silence and shadows, a young girl lay on a cold table. Wires ran through her arms. Machines beeped softly. Her skin was pale. Her lips didn't move, but her mind was not dead. That girl was Mira. She had been captured, not killed. The Drivax had lied. When the Hope Seeker entered orbit, Drivax warships attacked it. They didn't destroy the ship. They disabled it. Then they boarded it. Everyone on board was taken. Some were killed right away. Others became test subjects. Mira was different. The Drivax saw her brain scans. They saw something special. "This one is not like the others," one alien doctor said. "Her mind is dangerous." For 2 long years, Mira was trapped inside that lab. They ran tests. They made her forget her name. They filled her body with chemicals. They tried to erase her identity. But inside her heart, a fire kept burning. She didn't forget everything. Some nights in her dreams, she saw her mother's smile, her father's hug, the stars over Earth, her team on the ship, the mission badge on her chest. At first, Mira was scared. She cried. She screamed, but no one listened. Then, one day, something changed. A scientist spoke too loud near her. He said, "This human is no longer human. She's a tool now." That word, tool, it woke something inside her. That night, her fingers moved slightly. A machine beeped faster. A camera above her blinked red. No one noticed. Day by day, she began to remember. What she was. What they did. Why she must survive. Mira didn't scream anymore. She stayed quiet. She pretended to be broken. She listened to the guards. She memorized the lab's layout. She learned how the machines worked. She studied the alien language they used around her. They thought she was helpless. But Mira was planning. And then, one night, the lab lights flickered. A power surge, just for 2 seconds. In those 2 seconds, everything changed. Mira's eyes opened wide. They were not the soft eyes of a peaceful girl anymore. They were cold, focused, angry. Her breath slowed. Her fingers gripped the table. A voice echoed in her mind, her own voice, stronger than ever. "They think I'm gone, but I'm still there." The door opened. A tall alien doctor stepped in. He walked toward her, typing notes into a device. He didn't see her hand move. He didn't see her sit up slowly. He didn't see her eyes glowing in the dark. But just as he turned, Mira whispered for the first time in 2 years, "I remember everything now." The alien doctor froze. He looked at the girl, who was supposed to be unconscious, motionless, broken, empty. But now, she was sitting up. Her eyes were open. Cold. Clear. She spoke again, slowly. "I remember everything now." Before he could react, her hand reached out, fast, strong. She grabbed the device from his belt and slammed it into his head. He dropped to the floor without a sound. Mira stood up. Her legs were weak, but her will was strong. The cables on her arms ripped off. Blood dripped, but she didn't care. The cold floor beneath her feet felt real. She was awake, truly awake. She looked around the room. It was white, silent, and full of machines. Tables, sharp tools, and cages. Cages with others inside. Some were human, some were alien. All were prisoners like her. but most were too weak to move, too broken to speak. Mira walked slowly to a glass wall. Inside, a human man sat in the corner. His eyes were blank. His arms were covered in bruises. "Can you hear me?" she whispered. The man looked up. Tears filled his eyes. He tried to speak, but no words came. Mira clenched her fists. These monsters didn't just capture her. They captured many. This was never about peace. It was always about power. 2 years ago, Drivax have lied to the galaxy. They told Earth the Hope Seeker never arrived. They cried fake tears. They gave fake flowers. All while building a lab beneath their capital. A lab to study humans, to turn them into weapons, or to break them. And Mira, she was their most important experiment. They had pushed her to her limit, injected her with alien tech, messed with her DNA, changed her blood, changed her body. But they made one mistake. They didn't break her spirit. And now, she was something else. Faster, stronger, smarter. She opened a drawer and pulled out a black coat. It was made for Drivax guards. She wore it quickly and tied her hair back. She needed to move fast. Alarms would ring soon. She opened the main lab door and stepped into a dark hallway. Walls buzzed with energy. Security lights blinked. Cameras moved slowly. She remembered every hallway, every corner. She had watched it all from her cage. She walked calmly, like she belonged. A guard passed her, nodded, and walked on. Mira kept walking, until she reached a room marked Biotest Room 7. She scanned the guard's device she stole. The door opened. Inside was a nightmare. Machines surrounded a small human girl, no older than 10. Her eyes were wide open, but she wasn't moving. Mira ran to her, checked her pulse. She was alive, but drugged. She whispered, "Don't worry, I'm getting you out of here." Suddenly, loud alarms began to ring. Red lights flashed across the hallway. "Subject Alpha has escaped," a voice shouted across speakers. "Seal the lower floors." Mira picked up the small girl and ran. She knew this place better than they did now. Guards rushed in. Mira hid in the shadows. Her senses were sharper. She could hear their steps before they came. She moved like a ghost, fast and silent. Every now and then, she passed other cages. Some prisoners looked at her with fear, others with hope. She couldn't save everyone. Not yet, but she would return. She reached a vent system and crawled through, holding the child close. Finally, she made it to the old elevator shaft, a broken system that no one used anymore. It led up. She pressed a button and waited. Behind her, voices screamed. Doors slammed, but the elevator opened just in time. As it rose, she looked at the girl in her arms. "I was like you once," Mira whispered. "They tried to take everything from me, but now I take it back." The elevator stopped at a forgotten floor. Dusty, dark. She hid the child safely and wrote a message for any rescue team. Then she looked at a security screen nearby. It showed the Drivax city above, beautiful, rich, shining with tall towers. The people up there had no idea what happened below. No idea of the lab, the lies, the pain. But soon, they would. Mira stared at the screen and whispered, "This is just the beginning." Mira stood in the dark hallway above the lab. The child she had rescued lay quietly behind her, hidden and safe for now. But Mira's eyes were focused ahead. She wasn't the same girl who once smiled on peace missions or studied alien languages in Earth's training centers. That girl had died 2 years ago. The new Mira was born in pain and fire. Her heart still remembered her mission, to bring peace. But now, peace would come through truth. And truth needed war. She walked toward the edge of the floor and looked through a broken window. The city of Drivax was glowing in the night. So beautiful, so peaceful on the outside. But Mira knew the truth buried beneath it. She touched the small device she had taken from the guard. It had maps, lab codes, and something even more powerful, a signal booster. Mira had tried for years to send a message to Earth. Every time the lab blocked it. Every signal died before leaving the underground. But now, she was closer to the surface. The booster might work. She typed in a simple message using Earth's old military code. "This is Mira Dawson. I am alive. They lied. The Drivax took us. They are not our allies. I escaped. I have proof. Send help." Her hands trembled slightly as she hit send. The screen blinked. Sending. The bar filled slowly. 85%, 92%, 100%. Message sent. Mira stared at the screen. Was it really over? Would Earth hear her? She didn't know. But something inside her felt different, stronger. as if her soul was finally breathing again. Suddenly, she heard footsteps. Heavy ones. They were coming. She turned fast, hiding behind a metal pillar. 2 Drivax guards entered the floor. This level was supposed to be sealed, one said. Check the corners. Subject Alpha may have passed through here. Mira stayed silent. Calm, she waited, then moved. Fast. Before they could see her, she struck. One guard dropped. The other tried to scream, but she hit him too. Hard. Both fell, unconscious. She dragged their bodies out of sight and took a second device. It was more advanced, a Drivax Elite model. It showed something that made her eyes widen. Camera feeds, and one camera showed the lab she had just escaped. Dozens of guards surrounded it now. Scientists were panicking. The test pods were being destroyed. Files were being burned. They were covering their tracks, but Mira had already sent the truth. Too late now. Then something else appeared on the screen, Project Phoenix. She clicked it. It showed her own face. Her brain scans, her blood reports, her DNA mixed with alien code. She read the words slowly. Subject Alpha is evolving faster than expected. Mind adapting. Body resisting control. Recommend termination if escape occurs. Mira felt her hands shake, but not in fear. In anger. They wanted to use her, then kill her. But she was still here. And she wasn't done yet. She downloaded the files to the device, then turned back toward the city. She needed to reach the surface, hide the girl, and wait for Earth's rescue. But suddenly the building shook. A loud sound echoed from the sky. Boom. She looked out the broken window again. Drivax airships were rising. The Empire knew she had escaped. They were searching every corner. And then Mira saw something strange. A ship in the distance, not Drivax. Not alien. It was human. Her message had reached Earth. Mira's eyes filled with tears, but she knew what came next. The Drivax would never let her escape easily. They would silence her before Earth could act, unless she made the truth louder. She ran back to the small child she had saved. The girl opened her eyes slowly. You're okay, Mira said gently. Stay here. I'll come back for you. The girl tried to speak. Are you an angel? Mira smiled for the first time in years. No, she said softly. I'm human, and I'm coming back. Then she stood up. Her body hurt. Her mind was tired. But her spirit burned like fire. She wasn't done. She had one last mission. Expose everything. Hook ending. As Mira stepped into the main city, wearing the stolen uniform and carrying the stolen truth, a deep voice echoed through Drivax command. Subject Alpha is now priority 1. Kill on sight. But it was too late. The girl they thought was broken was now awake. Mira moved fast through the Drivax capital. She wore the stolen uniform like armor, her eyes scanning everything. The streets were full of alien citizens going about their peaceful lives, smiling, shopping, and talking under glowing towers. They had no idea. No idea of the labs below. No idea of the prisoners. No idea their leaders were monsters. But Mira knew, and now so did Earth. She looked up. The sky above the city shimmered. Drivax patrol ships flew slowly, searching. Loudspeakers echoed through the air in their strange language. Alert. Fugitive on the loose. Dangerous. Last seen near the east wing. Mira kept walking, head down, heart steady. She had one goal now. Reach the skyport, a high-level transport station at the top of the central tower. If she could get there, she might hijack a ship or at least hit closer to the human vessel now approaching orbit. The streets got tighter as she moved closer to the tower. She passed a large screen showing the Drivax leader, High Chancellor Velok, giving a speech. He smiled calmly. We mourn the loss of our human friends. We condemn all lies spread by enemies of peace. Mira felt rage rise in her chest. He was still lying, still pretending to be peaceful. And the people believed him, but not for long. She reached the base of the tower. Guards stood at the entrance, scanning every person. Mira breathed slowly, walked in line, waited. One guard looked at her. His scanner beeped. His eyes narrowed. Mira didn't wait. She punched his throat, grabbed his weapon, rolled sideways. Alarms screamed. People ran. She dashed into the tower, using the guard's ID to open the elevator. As it rose, she stared at the walls around her. Memories came back. This was where her mission had started 2 years ago. She had walked into this tower with hope. Now she returned with fire. The elevator doors opened. The skyport stretched before her, silver, clean, and full of small shuttlecrafts. But it was also full of guards now. Mira ran toward a corner, dodging lasers. She threw smoke bombs, stolen from the lab, and dove behind crates. One shuttle stood open, almost ready to fly. Mira sprinted. A laser burned her shoulder, but she didn't stop. She jumped into the cockpit and pressed every control she could remember. The shuttle roared to life. Outside, guards screamed. Ships rose into the air to stop her. But she was already rising. Mira flew the stolen craft into the open sky. Towers shrank below. Clouds wrapped around the ship like a soft blanket. She was flying again. After 2 years in cages and pain, she was finally free. But her joy didn't last long. The radar blinked. 3 Trivax warships appeared behind her, fast, armed. One of them sent a message. "Turn around. You cannot escape." Mira ignored it. She pushed the engine harder. The ship shook. They fired. She dodged, barely. Then something else appeared on the radar. A 4th ship. Bigger, sleeker. Not Trivax. It was Earth's warship, the Resolute. Mira's heart jumped. The message light blinked. She opened it. A human voice spoke. "Unknown ship, this is Commander Raylan of the United Earth Fleet. We received Mira Dawson's signal. We are here. If you are Mira, please respond." Mira's voice broke as she spoke into the mic. "It's me, Mira Dawson. They lied. They tortured us. They—" "Say no more," Raylan said. "We got you. Stand by." The Resolute moved fast. It blocked the Trivax warships. Weapons charged. The alien ships backed off, shocked by the human arrival. But Mira wasn't done. She sent one more message to the Resolute, along with all the files she stole, proof of the lab, the experiments, the children. "I'm not the only one," she said. "They have others. You must help them." Commander Raylan answered, voice firm. "We will." The Resolute locked onto Mira's shuttle and pulled it in with a tractor beam. As she landed safely inside, human soldiers surrounded her, but not with weapons, with blankets, with medics, with kindness. A young officer stepped forward, shocked. You're really her. We thought you died." Mira smiled weakly. "Not dead, just waiting." They carried her gently to the medbay. But before they closed the doors, Mira looked back out the window. Trivax still shined in the distance. Beautiful. Peaceful. Fake. She knew Earth's response was coming. And this time, it wouldn't be a peace mission. Mira lay in a medical bed aboard the human warship, the Resolute, her body aching and bruised from the years of pain. Yet for the first time in 2 years, she felt something else. Hope. The soft hum of the ship's engines was calming, and the gentle pulse of the medbay equipment kept her grounded. The medical officer worked quickly, cleaning her wounds and checking her vitals. Despite everything, Mira couldn't help but stare at the small screen beside her, showing the stars outside. She had escaped. She was free. But the battle for the truth had only just begun. Commander Raylan's voice cut through the air. "Mira, we're getting your data. Earth's High Command is reviewing everything. Operation Justice Storm is a go. We're going to expose Trivax for everything they've done." Mira's heart raced. Justice Storm, the operation she had hoped for, feared, and dreamed of. It wasn't just a mission to rescue her. It was Earth's plan to take down the Trivax Empire for good. "Tell me everything," Mira said, her voice steady but filled with urgency. "What's the plan?" Raylan walked over, his face grim but determined. "We'd sent the data to Earth. They'd confirmed everything, your story, the experiments, the children they had kept hidden. The whole galaxy will know. High Command is preparing to send the fleet." The words hit Mira like a hammer. The whole galaxy will know. She had survived the Trivax lies. Now it was time for everyone to hear the truth. Back on Earth, in a war room deep underground, Earth's leaders studied the data Mira had sent. Maps, videos, secret files. Project Phoenix. It was all there. General Selena Stroud, head of Earth's military forces, stood before the holographic display. "This is bigger than we thought. We thought Trivax was a peaceful race, but they've been using humans as experiments for years. They're trying to create a new breed of soldiers, part alien, part human." Her hands clenched into fists. They'd violated every treaty, every agreement. This cannot go unpunished. Across the room, the Earth Fleet's Admiral, Arvid Larson, nodded. "I agree. We have a duty to protect all sentient life in this galaxy. We're not just going to sit by and watch as they wipe out humanity for their own twisted experiments." General Stroud looked at the map of the Trivax system, the location of their capital planet glowing bright. "We take them down," she said firmly. "Operation Justice Storm is officially underway." Back on the Resolute, Mira felt the ship shake. The hum of the engines became louder, deeper. Her eyes shot open as Commander Raylan's voice echoed through the speaker. "Get ready, Mira. We're going in." Her heart skipped a beat. "We're going to Drevax." She had spent years on that planet. She had seen its dark side. She had felt its coldness. She had learned to survive there. And now she was going back, not as a prisoner, but as the agent of change, as the truth. The fleet approaches Drevax. The Earth fleet moved in silence, their ships spread out across the galaxy like a storm gathering power. Human warships, thousands of them. They were ready for war. Mira stood on the observation deck, watching the fleet's arrival. Thousands of ships, each one a reminder that Earth had not forgotten. They had not given up. The Drevax Empire was about to learn the price of their betrayal. Mira clenched her fists, looking out at the capital planet below. This was where it all started, and now this is where it would end. The Drevax Empire would either stand trial for their crimes or fall. Drevax's response. The Drevax leaders were watching from their command center. High Chancellor Velok paced back and forth, eyes locked onto the holographic display of Earth's fleet advancing toward their homeworld. "They come?" His voice was cold, laced with fear. "We knew this day would come, but we didn't expect it so soon." He turned to his council, who stood nervously, unsure of what to do. "Send the message," Velok ordered. "Tell the galaxy we are peaceful. Tell them Mira is a criminal who escaped with lies. We must stop this before they reach our planet." But in his heart, Velok knew the truth. Mira had escaped, and now the galaxy would never be the same again. The final countdown? The countdown to the final assault began. The Resolute and its fleet moved closer to Drevax's atmosphere. Mira stood next to Commander Raylan, staring at the planet below. "This is it," Mira said, her voice steady. "They won't let us go easy." Raylan nodded. "We're ready. We have the proof. We have the fleet. Now, we fight for the truth." Mira's eyes flashed with determination. "We're not just fighting for us. We're fighting for everyone they've heard, for the people they've silenced." The ship's captain spoke into the intercom. "All ships in position. The attack begins in 5 minutes." Mira took a deep breath, letting the reality of it all sink in. This was the beginning of the end for the Drevax Empire. The stars blurred as the Resolute broke through Drevax's outer defense perimeter. Mira stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic map in front of her. The Drevax capital planet loomed large ahead, with its towering cities and vast structures. But it was no longer the place of peace she had once believed it to be. It was a battlefield now. Mira felt a fire burning in her chest, not just from the fear, but from something deeper: the years of torture, the lies, the experiments. Everything they had done to her, and the others like her, had led to this moment. Now she was ready to make them pay. Commander Raylan's voice came through the intercom. "All ships, prepare for attack. Operation Justice Storm is a go." The crew of the Resolute moved quickly, the lights dimming and flashing red as the fleet began its final approach. The warships were already firing. Waves of blue energy streaked across the sky as Earth's ships launched their first volley toward Drevax's defenses. But the Drevax weren't going down without a fight. Drevax's defenses. High Chancellor Velok watched as his planet's sky was filled with explosions. Ships zoomed past, fired upon, and exploded in the darkness. "We must protect our city," Velok growled. He turned to his command center, barking orders at his generals. "Activate the planetary shields. Send out every fighter we have. Protect the capital at all costs." Drevax ships swarmed out of the atmosphere, launching toward the Resolute and the rest of the human fleet. They were faster, sleeker, built for this kind of battle. But the Earth fleet had something the Drevax didn't: humanity's will to fight. The battle intensifies. The sound of explosions rocked Mira's body as the ship shook. She gripped the armrest of her seat, eyes locked on the battle unfolding outside the viewing window. Hundreds of Earth ships rained fire down on the Drevax fleet. A massive explosion lit up the sky, and a Drevax warship spun out of control, crashing into the planet below. The shockwave rippled through space. Mira didn't flinch. She had seen this before. The brutality, the chaos. But this time, it was different. This time, they were the ones fighting back. The Resolute's guns fired again, and another Drevax ship disappeared in a flash of light. Mira's moment. Raylan turned to Mira, his eyes sharp. "We need you on the comms, Mira. We need to break through their defenses and shut down their systems. Mira nodded without hesitation. This was her moment. She had studied the Drivax systems for years. She had learned their codes, their language, their weaknesses. She knew their commands inside and out. Now she would use all of that to bring them down. "Do it," Mira said, her voice calm but firm. Raylan signaled to his officers, and the ship's AI connected Mira to the Drivax's central network. She worked quickly, typing commands into the console in front of her. The system's firewall was strong, but she had studied it. She had prepared for this moment. "Come on," she whispered as the screen flickered. Finally, the codes cracked. The Drivax's defensive shields began to flicker. The ships above the planet stopped firing. Mira had done it. Drivax's last stand. High Chancellor Veloc saw the warning lights flash. His eyes widened. The shields were down. "No," he screamed. "We cannot lose. Not after all we've done." He turned to his officers, panic starting to show on his face. "Prepare the final defense. Activate the Alpha Protocol. We must stop them." But it was too late. The Drivax forces were falling apart. Their ships were burning in the sky, one after the other. Their planet's defenses were crumbling. Mira felt a sharp pang in her chest as she watched the destruction unfold in the hologram. She had spent years on that planet. She had trusted its people. But now, there was no turning back. The final strike. Commander Raylan stood at the front of the bridge, eyes locked onto the planet below. "It's time," he said. "Prepare for the final strike. Target their capital city." Mira turned to him. "Are you sure about this? We can still capture them." Raylan's eyes were hard, his voice steady. "This isn't just about taking down the Drivax government. It's about sending a message. We're not just going to stop them. We're going to end this once and for all." Mira nodded slowly. She understood. The Earth fleet moved into position. The final strike was prepared. The capital city of Drivax, the heart of the Empire, would fall. The Resolute and the other ships in the fleet fired a single powerful burst of energy straight into the heart of Drivax's capital. It hit the city like a storm, sending a wave of destruction through the streets below. The sky lit up as buildings collapsed, and the shockwaves sent dust and debris into the air. The planet's defenses were gone. Mira's reflection. Mira stood alone in the observation room, staring at the chaos below. The battle was over. The Drivax Empire was no more. Her heart was heavy, not with victory, but with the weight of everything that had happened. She had never wanted this. She never wanted to destroy a planet, a home, a people. But the Drivax had given her no choice. They had stolen her life, her memories, and her future. Now, she had taken everything back. The war was over. The Drivax Empire had fallen. Earth's fleet remained in orbit above the shattered world, their mission complete. The skies that once held the dark, powerful ships of the Drivax were now quiet. The once untouchable empire lay in ruins. But even as the fleet turned back toward home, Mira felt the weight of it all. She had destroyed a whole empire. She had fought for survival, for justice. But at what cost? Commander Raylan stood beside her on the observation deck of the Resolute, looking down at the remnants of Drivax. "You did it, Mira," he said, his voice soft. "You brought us the truth. You brought us justice." Mira said nothing. Her eyes were still fixed on the planet below, but her mind wasn't on the victory. It was on the lives lost, human and Drivax alike. She had ended the war, but the scars would remain. The return to Earth. Days later, the Resolute entered Earth's atmosphere. Mira had been through hell, but now she was coming home. Her home. The human fleet was hailed as heroes. News of their victories spread across the globe. The galaxy would never forget the rise of humanity. But for Mira, the welcome was bittersweet. As she stepped off the ship, reporters rushed forward, their cameras flashing. They wanted to know everything about the battle, about Drivax, about her, the girl who had brought down an empire. But Mira didn't want to be a hero. She didn't want the fame. She just wanted peace. She had earned her freedom, but at a terrible price. Mira's peace. In the months that followed, Mira withdrew from the spotlight. She didn't join the celebrations. She didn't take part in the interviews. She knew the world had changed, but she needed time to heal. Earth had embraced her, but she had seen the darker side of the galaxy. She had seen how far people would go for power, for control. And even though Drivax was gone, she knew there were more threats out there. Mira spent her time in quiet reflection, learning to live again. She returned to her passion for languages, teaching, and studying the cultures of other worlds. She was determined to use her knowledge to prevent future wars, not start them. A new beginning. The universe had learned a lesson that day. Humanity was not weak. Mira had proven that one person, one human, could make a difference. The truth she had fought for would shape the future of Earth's role in the galaxy. The next step was peace, true peace, where no one had to fight for survival again. But Mira knew that peace would always come at a price. As she looked out at the stars from her apartment window, she whispered to herself, "We've only just begun." The galaxy had learned to fear humanity's strength, but Mira had learned something more important. The true power of humanity lies in its ability to rise again, no matter the odds. And as the stars shined brightly in the distance, Mira knew one thing for sure: humanity would always fight for what was right.